Hey guys, it's Nathan Calicat and you're watching A Couple of Dates. Cue the intro.
You deserve a day night, yeah. You deserve breakfast in bed. You deserve good sex, yeah. You deserve everything. You deserve a day night, day night. You deserve breakfast in bed. Hey, you deserve good sex, yeah. Hey, you deserve everything, everything.
This is episode 1 of Couple of Dates. My name is Nathan Calicat and today we have Karis. Topic of today we're going to talk about is relationships and specifically what it's like being a single mom. So with that being said,
I'm the single mom.
what would you like to talk about and share with everybody else?
What? Are you gonna can't put me on the spot like that? You can ask me a question.
Alright, what is the biggest challenge with being a single mom?
What is the biggest challenge with being a single mom? There's a lot of challenges. I would say having time for everything.
Time is a big thing.
Time, finances, social life.
And just balancing all of that
Yeah,
together.
balancing everything.
And how long have you had to, raise your child by yourself?
By myself, since like February.
Since February. So key points today is
February, that would be 7 months ago.
7 months ago.
8 months ago.
Okay. And during that time frame, you're saying that the hardest challenges are finding time for yourself, your social calendar, your finances, and just balancing everything.
Yeah.
What is something that you use to kind of help organize yourself that other moms can relate to? Or do you have a system that you use?
Yeah,
or?
I guess I have like a system and I have a schedule, and that's what makes everything work, is having a schedule, having people I can rely on, nanny, family members, friends.
What is it that you do because life happens. So what do you do when the unexpected happens?
Well, I was at work on Friday and I had no idea that my son Mason's preschool is going to close at 12. So when I get a call at work and they're like, hey, where are you? Why didn't you pick up your kid? Normally I'm like really good at this and remember everything, but we just started at this preschool and I had no idea that they were doing parent-teacher conferences. But they're like, where are you? You're supposed to pick up your kid like 15 minutes ago. And I called my nanny first because she is usually available and she's taking care of other kids. So I called her and she was on her way back to where his preschool is, and so she picked him up for me. Obviously I'd have to call on my support system in that case.
No, that's awesome. Are there any life hacks or things that you've learned along the way just in the last 7 months that other single moms can relate to that would help them throughout challenges?
Life hacks.
Things that you've learned.
Yeah, not everything's gonna be perfect. You kind of just have to go with it. Nothing's gonna work out the way that you want it to work out. So you just need to have an open mind and go with it. And that's my biggest thing is just don't plan on anything being perfect, because it's not going to be.
Yeah, that's something that people can relate to. What else can we talk about? I want to keep the topic all around single moms and kind of add value in that way. So I'm going to try to ask you certain questions that they can do. Is there specific brands that you lean towards when you're shopping, or things that you've noticed, as far as diapers or diaper brands or cleaning products, or things that help you more than others?
Well, we're out of diapers. We do pull-ups in bedtime, but it doesn't really matter. Just go with whatever's cheap. That's more so when you have a baby and blowouts and stuff like that. It really matters, but no, diapers don't really matter right now. Always have wipes because they're gonna be dirty. What else? Oh, the the carpet cleaner.
Okay.
Having like a vacuum carpet cleaner, like one that washes your carpets, I literally use it once a week. Like there's gonna be a spill, and yeah, that's how you don't have your stuff.
What is it that you use? What specific?
Oh, I don't know what that is. It's
Bison or something?
It's like, yeah, it's like a Bison carpet cleaner.
Okay, well we'll put a plug in for that so that way they can get that for when
Yeah.
their kid spills. Let's see, what else can we talk about? What are some things you do when Mason's misbehaving?
Misbehaving.
Like, how do you get him back on track? Whatever it is you're trying to get accomplished.
Well, the best thing to do would be like positive reinforcement, but I'm not always like perfect. And obviously bribery and taking things away.
Okay, so those are things
Bribery and threats.
those things work for
Most
you.
parents can relate, but the best way to raise a child and to create good habits is positive reinforcement. So when they're doing right, reward them, because then they'll keep doing things right.
Exactly,
Just
I
like
agree.
a dog.
Just like a dog. You do have a dog,
Yeah, the puppy.
a little puppy. What's your puppy? What kind of dog is it?
It's a French bulldog and a wiener dog mixed together, and he's super ugly, but like in the cutest way possible.
Awesome. All right, so you're a single mother, father of your child, and you are no longer together.
Yes.
How has dating been?
Dating's hard. For like the first, I don't know, 9-10 months, I didn't even really throw myself into the dating pool. Like, yeah, I might have like talked to a few people, but I didn't really like put myself out there and like intentionally try to date people or anything like that. I wanted to be able to focus on my son, and I wanted to make sure that like going out and dating wasn't interfering with me being a mom and doing the best I could. And just because there's so much on my plate, it just was not a top priority at all.
Oh, that makes sense. That's totally understandable. As it should be.
Yes.
How did you bring up to other people that you were a single mother, and how did they respond? How was it? How did they react when you told them you were a single
Like
mother?
when I was dating people?
Yeah.
Um,
Are people generally more open to it? Are they?
I think that people are a lot more open to it now. I think it's pretty normal, like especially at my age, I'm 28, that, you know, like at least 50% of the women are gonna have a kid, and possibly not be with the father anymore or the mother. Like it's pretty normal for people my age to have a child at this point, when like 50% of relationships don't work anymore. So, I mean, I just bring it up like first right off the bat. Like I'm not gonna go in there and blindside them and be like, hey, I'm Karis, and like let them like get to know me and be like, oh, by the way, I have a kid. It's just like I'm gonna bring everything that I have to the table right up front, because as a mom, I don't want to waste my time with somebody who isn't okay with it. So I'm gonna bring it up right away, and you know, if they're not into it, that's fine. Like that's their own thing, and like they can make their own decision. They don't have to be wanting to date a mom, but I'm gonna look for somebody that wants to date a mom and is open to doing that. So that's just how I see it. Bring it
That
up
makes
right
sense.
away.
That makes sense. You want somebody to eventually love your child the way you love your child.
Oh yeah. If they don't love my child, they're not gonna work.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about some of the dates you went on and kind of how they went? Did it feel different going from dating your child's father to just being single after all these years of dating, of not being out in the dating scene? How did the first couple of dates go? Obviously you were nervous, but how was things different now than
Oh
they
my
were?
god, things are so different now. Like there's the whole fuckboy thing, and like there's Tinder, like social media is huge. Like I was with my son's dad for 7 years. Like this whole social media like dating thing was not around. And so when I first broke up with him and there was like Snapchat and all this stuff. Like you need to worry about your guy Snapchatting another girl and you don't even get to know because it's never gonna be there again. Like there's all this stuff to worry about, and it was like scary. I was like, I had to talk to my friends about it. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. This is all scary. And so I kind of just didn't want to do it at first. I just wanted to like focus on myself and like feel everything out and see how people acted like single people, because when you're in a relationship for so long, you surround yourself with people who are in relationships and you don't really know what that world's like anymore.
That makes sense. That's right. Going from 7 years to just being single.
Single life.
And just, that's true. All these apps came out within the last, couple years.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going from not knowing anything about it to being single.
Yeah, all my friends like, oh, you should make a Tinder, you should make a Bumble, and I'm like, that's a little scary.
Did you do any of that?
I made a Tinder and a Bumble for like one day, and then I deleted it because like people found me on my Instagram from like Tinder and Bumble, and I was like, this is kind of creepy. Like I don't want people finding me and finding all my info and stuff. So I wasn't about it. I like more organic ways of meeting people. So
That makes sense. So and you talked about being organic. In what organic ways would you prefer meeting somebody? Obviously something that aligns with more your passions and interests.
Yeah.
And what are those?
Like I would prefer to meet a guy at the gym, which is like my passion and my interest, and also something that I look for in another guy is that they work out and they care about their health. So doing something like that is how I would like to meet them. Or possibly like at like my son's preschool or something, like another single dad or something like that, like where they have like a common interest such as a child or working out. Not so much like at the bar, like, oh, I enjoy partying. I don't want somebody who's gonna party, because when you're a single mom, you're not gonna go out every weekend. Like you have to pay for a sitter, and I just don't really want to spend time away from my child all the time.
Especially with going back to balancing the time and the finances and all that. That's awesome.
Can you have back rub first?
Yeah, me too. I need a back rub too. All right. That feel good?
Mm-hmm. I think you cracked my neck.
Ooh, dang. You really get in there. Wow, I feel loose. So now that we got that covered, how do you go about introducing your child, Mason, to somebody new?
I don't introduce him to anybody, just anybody. It has to be somebody that I've met, that I've dated for like a good amount of time, maybe like a month or 2 months. I have to know that they're a good person. They have to meet like all this criteria before they meet Mason, and it has to feel right and feel like it's moving in a serious direction, because I don't want to, date somebody and introduce him and then have it not work out, and then date somebody else and then introduce him and think it's like normal for his mommy to be like dating all these guys and meeting all these guys in and out of his life. Like what's so important to me with my son is that he has stability, and that would not be stable. So you have to go off feel, but like you have to know that it's right before you introduce him. It's not like, oh, this is mommy's friend, this is mommy's friend, this is mommy's friend. Like it needs to be serious.
So you kind of go the approach of not introducing them right off the bat.
Absolutely not.
So you want to get to know the person a little bit more, and then you recommend maybe easing into it when you find...
Easing into it, let's go get ice cream with mommy's friend, and then see how they interact together. Like I'm not going to introduce them straight away like, oh, this is my boyfriend. I just want to introduce them as mommy's friend, and so there's no pressure on him or on the guy that I'm seeing in that whole situation. So just like go do something fun together, and that's lighthearted, and see how it goes.
That's awesome. I think that's very insightful. Okay, so we talked about some of your passions. Obviously, you love going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make that work with having a child? If that's a priority to you, how do you get yourself to go, and what are your options?
First of all, the first thing that I look for in a gym is that they have a childcare, and that my son likes the childcare would be second. So childcare, and then that he likes it. So obviously I get the membership, and then we test it out, and if he likes it, we'll stay at that gym. If he doesn't like it, we'll move to another, which has happened before. But basically getting him to like going to the gym with me and making it part of our routine. So I bring him with, and he goes and plays in the kids zone, or whatever they want to call it, kids club. And I go and get my mommy time, or me time, where I get to go work out by myself and like have alone time. Because besides work, that's probably about the only alone time I really truly get, unless I have a sitter for like a special night. You can't feel guilty about putting time in yourself and your own health. And it's a good example for your child to also be putting that time into your health and your fitness, and showing them that you do want to be active and live an active lifestyle and take care of yourself.
That's how I feel too. So I actually focus on the 4 pillars, which is health, wealth, love, and happiness. And so that's awesome. It's a great example. Okay. Wrapping things up, because I'd like to get out of here. Wrapping things up, are there any small insights that we haven't covered yet? I mean, I know we gave little snippets of different things to help other single women in the same situation. We talked about, what it's like introducing your child to somebody new, how the dating scene has changed over the last few years, some of the challenges with time and finances and that sort of thing. Is there any other insights that we haven't talked about, or things that you'd like to close up with that would potentially help somebody else?
I would say that most importantly, support system, having single mom friends who are going through the same thing so that you can vent and relate and get advice. Your family is huge. They will support you through everything, like emotionally and physically, like helping watch your child or anything like that. So support system is huge. And I would say going with the flow, knowing that nothing's gonna be perfect and shit's gonna happen, bad stuff's gonna happen. Just like don't sweat it and just go with it. And I would say those are like my biggest advice, would be support system and going with it.
That's awesome. Well, I think that wraps things up for the first episode. And again, here's Karis. My name is Nathan Calicat, and we'll see you next week.
Say, whoa, whoa, whoa.